Hello, welcome back for our latest video. This comes to us from Facebook as well. Somebody asked a question. Oh, by the way, I'm Alan Dembski. This is Juliana Jansen from Buffalo First Wealth Management. So the question we got on our Facebook Ask was how to afford college without inundating your kids with huge loans and interest payments after they graduate. We thought this was a really good idea. We've done videos on how to save for college previously. You can go back to our YouTube channel and check those out. But, when we start talking about saving for college early, there's so many other things that people start saving for, whether it's retirement, houses, whatever it might be, that some of those things start to get overlooked. But saving early and regularly for college is one of the best ways to help with the loans and interest. However, if you haven't done that and you need to make up for lost time or you want to help your kids, that's what we're really going to talk about today going forward. So one of the first things I would say is, sometimes you want to look at community college as an option. I just had this, actually, I had this conversation this morning, now with student athletes, sometimes college, community college athletics is not a bad way to get started. One, you're saving money on tuition. Yes, they can't give scholarship money. But with the transfer portal now, you can just change at any time you want. But, all kidding aside with athletics, I think starting with the community college, save some money there, and get a lot of your electives taken away. Even if you go to a major university, you can still go to you got to make sure that the college allows to transfer credits. But take those electives at a community college, maybe even in the summer. One, you're dwindling down the years that you have to be there. And two, you're taking them pretty cheap because summer classes are usually cheaper at the end of the day.
Yeah. And I think not all kids know what they want to study too.
Right.
So community college is a great place to explore inexpensively different options that are available to you. Once you find yourself with loans, one of the suggestions that we make is, if possible, if the student has a job or has income, or if the parents are able to help, starting to pay the interest while they're in school can really save thousands of dollars down the line. And it's something that not a lot of people think about, because you think, well, I don't have to think about this for 4 or 5 years, 6 years, however long you're in school, but it can really make a difference down the line in terms of what your payment is.
Right. And when it comes to private loans, depending on what your family income is, whether you're getting federal aid, Pell, or if you're living in New York, the TAP assistance. If you're outside of New York, I'm sure your state has something similar to the tuition in New York. Also in New York, your Excelsior scholarship is available for families with income under $125,000. That's available. But if you're on the hook for private loans, whether they're subsidized or unsubsidized private loans, one of the things we always say is shop the banks. It's just like anything. Interest rates are different based on the bank. Some banks are, better suited for student loans than some. And there's always an option to save 0.25%, 0.5% by looking at other banks when walking through the process.
Yeah, I'm always surprised at the difference in rates that are offered out there. You would think it would be more uniform, but it really isn't. Another good option is to look at scholarship opportunities. And I think this is something that's definitely underutilized. If you have a student that's going to college, talk to as many people as possible, because there are a lot of opportunities out there for a variety of different organizations that can really chip down on what you have to borrow for college. So the more information you can get, the better. And your school might be another option to talk to as well. The financial aid office can give some suggestions. Although I think, just being diligent, looking online, and just trying to leave no stone unturned in terms of opportunities for scholarship is a good way to go.
Yeah. And I think also another way is if you're choosing a school, if you know people at that school or you start to talk to people at that school, is ask them, hey, do you know of any scholarships that are available? Asking people what scholarship money is available. Hey, what scholarship money did you apply for? Things like that. And one thing that I do personally is every fall and spring, I have my kids search online for scholarships. I make them apply for 5 scholarships every season or every year, and they haven't gotten any. They've gotten a few here and there locally, but I have them apply for 5 scholarships a year to make sure that they're exhausting any opportunity to help them pay back those loans. So if you give them a goal and you hold them to it, you know, I do ask my kids to see the emails after they send them to make sure that they are going out. So as much as I trust my kids, I mean, you still have to double check those.
Yeah. And I think one of the more common things that we see, particularly with our younger clients, just recently I was talking to clients and they were lamenting that when they were taking out their student loans, they really didn't understand what it meant to their budget down the line. So I think it's crucial for your students to understand, if I'm taking out $20,000 or 40 or 80 or however much, what is that number going to be from a payback perspective? And then start building out a little budget so that they can understand, wow, this is going to be X% of my budget when I get out of college, particularly if you have an idea of what that student might be making. If they're going for nursing school, put a budget together for an entry-level nurse and have them understand how much this is going to take out of their budget, because I think we don't do a good enough job in general in this country in letting people know what the impact is going to be with numbers and cents.
And people don't know how interest works too. It's not something that they take in school usually that says, okay, the compounding interest on this loan every single year, $10,000 for tuition at whatever 6-7%, how that actually comes out. To actually see that number versus mom or dad, you know, whatever, mom and dad don't know what they're talking about, or they won't believe you anyway. So hopefully by showing them that the true numbers, I think that makes a little bit of an impact too, of them understanding like this is real world stuff. Like it's not all about just picking the fancy institution because I want to go there.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's essential. And I think people that are beyond it and down the line in their careers wish that they had spent a little bit more time trying to identify what the impact was going to be.
And I think one of the things that students need to look at too is like colleges have their own niche where, you know, a lot of colleges offer the same stuff, but could I go somewhere to get the same or maybe even a better education for less money? So I think doing the college search is helpful as well to, you know, not inundate your kids with huge loans and interest.
And you can always transfer. You know, the first semester you realize, wow, this isn't what I thought it was going to be, and it's going to cost you a lot of money. Don't be ashamed to have your student transfer to something that makes more sense financially and for them academically.
And the thing I said before too is if you are in the transfer stage or looking at that, making sure that a lot of those credits do go from one university to another. I know here in New York, the SUNY system is, you know, certain classes qualify at different universities, but just double checking that before signing that dotted line. So hopefully we answered those questions or gave you some insight, something that we share with our clients and our kids. If you want to drop a comment on another video or topic idea that we can cover, we're certainly open-minded to doing that. And if you need help, you know, with these, you know, just understanding these ideas or help implementing those ideas, reach out to us and we can certainly help you navigate. We might not be able to do it, but we can certainly get you in touch with people that are qualified to do that. So thank you very much and have a great day.